For me, I would say like lead flow is very cut and dry mathematics in my eyes. How many prospects can we get in our pipeline in X amount of time? So how many per day based on how many posts and so on and how much ad spend, right?
Were you talking about inbound or outbound?
Inbound.
Okay, so like let's say for your clients, and personally what I do, let me tell me if you do something similar, but what I find most useful, it's not waiting for the people to come to me, because I feel like that's a mistake. If you wait for the people to come to you, people in organic take a long time to make decisions. And on Twitter, people log in with the expectation to be entertained. They're logging with the expectation of buying. That's what your email is for, but it takes a while. Whereas if they engage with you, I believe personally that every follow and engagement is an implicit request for information. So if they engage with you, that's kind of them not raising their hand completely, but raising their hand a little bit, saying, if you messaged me, I'm not discarding the option of working together. So for me, if you're ever going to get lead flow up, you shouldn't wait for people to come to you. You should go to them or make it really easy for them to come to you. I feel like you get the inbound game right, so I'm going to let you cover inbound. I'm going to cover outbound. So if anybody, like, let me tell you a story of a client who one time told me, I tweeted this thread and I didn't get any leads and I messed it up. That's what he said to me. I'm like, okay, what'd you do? And he said, well, I tweeted the thread and that was it. Well, I didn't get any inbound after I put my Calendly in. I'm like, you can't wait for that to happen. You have to go to them. So if you like, comment, retweet, anybody who likes, comments, or retweets your stuff, that's when you go in and you message them. And we're going to go into the scripts on what to say in a bit, but that is them saying, hey, I follow you. Like, let's get it right. They follow you, you don't follow them. So that is like a perfect opportunity for you to start a conversation. And if you look at it that way, if you have 3,000 followers, you have 3,000 potentially very warm leads that you could talk to. You're just not doing it because you haven't made that mindset shift of, let me just wait for them to come to me, which personally I feel like it's more of a defensive mindset instead of taking an offensive mindset. Hey, they follow me. Maybe it's for a reason, and you talking to them. Do you have anything to add to that before you get into inbound?
Yeah, I think outbound is extremely powerful and underrated. I think it's almost one of those things where if you have inbound and outbound dialed in, it's just like that's how you maximize, right? You'll never be able to maximize on just inbound or just outbound. You need both, in my opinion. But I agree. I think a follow is an implicit request for information. I would argue that a reply to a tweet is an implicit request for information, right? They've obviously, something that you said has interested them, whether it's about your product or it's just in general about what you said, but that can then start a conversation that's continued in the DMs, right? So I agree.
Yeah. So it's like if you're running a show, right, in your town, right, and you're doing something, maybe you're juggling stuff, right? And then somebody stops and sees what you're doing, and then they clap right after you do something. It's like, oh, well, maybe they're more open to like seeing the other show because they like this, right? So same thing on Twitter. If on your bio, you're like, follow me for gut health advice, then I don't know, maybe they want some gut health advice. You know what I mean? So like, but they're shy. Like, people are shy. People are not going to DM you. People are intimidated. Like, when was the last time you saw a product online? You're like, let me DM the person about their paid offer. Like, that doesn't happen. But if they come to you, it's much more open because they follow you, right? And we're going to go into, does it hurt the brand or not? But let's talk about inbound first. I think you're really good at inbound. Do you want to go over the theory of how you get inbound? And then we're going to get into the tactics.
This is interesting. I saw someone said this, which it really resonated with me because I agree. I want to say it was Presley, the clip curator, but it might not have been. Essentially saying that the difference between a paid advertisement and content is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where ads and content are the same thing, right? I think of like Logan Paul with Prime. And I think of how, like, if you just look at him in a YouTube video, he'll just be, like, talking about Prime in his, like, vlogs, right? So he'll be vlogging, talking about his product, and it's essentially one big ad, but it's also content, right? So I do the same thing on Twitter.
I want to add one thing to that because I think it's really relevant. This tweet by Cass, and I'm going to let you go after this, but he said, I remember this one time I was hanging around with a bunch of boomers. They were talking about health remedies and skin stuff that were working for them, sharing videos they found useful. All of them were VSLs for ClickBank offers. That's when I realized they don't understand the difference between a well put together VSL ad versus organic content. And a good VSL will go viral organically. Shifted my reality permanently. Yes, to add to that point, really good.
I agree, and I think of like the way
the best ads don't look like ads.
Exactly, like the way we've begun writing, like this is something that we've really been dialing in on. But the way we've been able to write Twitter content has portrayed the personal brand and the personal story in a way that weaves in the actual product that you're selling, right? So for you, it's like I think you've done it well with your story. Came up on Twitter, monetized on Twitter, and you sell a Twitter monetization education platform, right? So it all makes sense together. And I think if you could consistently do that in the content, not just once, right? Like not just you're like, here's my story, big thread, like as if it's a big party, right? You have to do it consistently. So if you could do that consistently, tweets, threads, etc. I have 5 content pillars that I've really dialed in on. If you could do it in all 5 pillars, then everything becomes an ad, right? But you're also building the brand at the same time.
So how do you do it with your content pillars?
It's funny.
Like tactically.
I've added a pillar a month at this point. But so my 5 pillars, and shout out Tweets and Clients, they got this first, right? So my 5 pillars are, 1, would be social proof. And this isn't in order, right? Because I get the order wrong. 1 would be social proof, whether that's case studies, testimonials, whatever. 2, expertise, something that builds authority, tactics, frameworks, mental models. 3 is going to be personal, storytelling, behind the scenes, day to day, picture of your cigarette with your espresso. That's all personal, right? 4 is going to be industry. I do this really well, I think. If you go on my Twitter, I talk all the time about new Twitter features, Elon Musk, the future of the industry. I'm big on that, right?
I think you tweeted that. I don't know who tweeted it, but it's like now you can upload episodes to Twitter. It's like an hour and a half or something. Was that?
Yeah. You could upload full movies to Twitter. You saw it with Matt Walsh. What is a Woman? Got 250 million views in like 2 days. You saw Tucker Carlson is an exclusive Twitter weekly episode. You have Apple TV just released the first episode of a new show to get people hooked on Twitter. And now they have to subscribe to Apple TV to get episode 2. Unreal. Welcome. So that's industry, right? Talking about that stuff. Like for example, right? If you're into tech and you didn't talk about Apple Vision Pro, like what are you doing, right? It would be silly. So I count that as a pillar. And then number 5 would be opinions. And this is a big one. Shout out Jeremy Moser. He gave me this one, and it is super powerful. Opinions are what make you unique, kind of going off what Quinn said on what we talked about last episode or the episode before. Having a unique perspective on things and having an opinion on things is what's going to set you apart from the people who are just leading with value, you know?
I like it. So I want to recap what he just said. So Marcus is really good at inbound. I really respect that about him. So he said 5 things to get inbound. He said social proof, expertise, personal tweets, industry, and opinions. Let's go like an example of each. I'll try to do a few of mine, and then you can do yours. So, right. For social proof, my pinned tweet right now as we speak, it's somebody who said, "Hey JK, because of your list, I got my first 14K month," and I just said, you included that picture and say, get all the emails that he got for free, lexingcash.com. All right, that is social proof. I personally believe that when it comes to social proof, you don't want to leave it to subjectivity. You want to leave it to objectivity. Something like, I got this result. I got this many leads. As in, compared to, bro, I love your course. I love your content. It's good if somebody says it on a podcast, right? But for you to post it, it's just not as bad. Personally, I would also believe that maybe it devalues you because it's like, that's the best proof you got. Like, you don't got any numbers, really? So personally, I would include more objectivity in your social proof. Unless, caveat here, what you sell is lifestyle. Ben said something I love. the other day at the coaches huddle, which by the way, we miss you on that one because you're on a weird time. You can't make it. Yeah.
I bring the vibes. It's whatever.
Yeah, at least. So he said, you know what the biggest mistake fitness coaches make? He's like, I'm like, what? They sell fitness. You don't sell fitness as a fitness coach. You sell lifestyle. You sell being fun, like having fun. You sell being at the beach. You sell your six pack. You sell, I don't know, being with girls, right? You don't sell fitness as a fitness coach. In that case, subjectivity has a position. If you're maybe, I don't know, Iman Ghazi, right? He's living the lifestyle. You're agitated. Then in that case, subjectivity has a point. But if you're more of an ROI kind of offer, then objectivity is your bread and butter when it comes to proof. You have anything to add on that one, or you want another pillar?
No, social proof, same thing. I agree. For me, like you said, it's my pinned tweet as well. I think social proof's pretty self-explanatory. I think the big thing with social proof is that if you don't have social proof, you need to get it, right? So you need to work for free. I think we have sophisticated to high level market in most industries, and I think if you don't have social proof, you're essentially you're nobody, right? So you need social proof. Work for free, or you could be like me and work for $20 on Upwork, which is just as bad.
Yeah, I'll say one thing here is I know a few of the top video editors and how they got their job, and what they did was they did the extra step. So instead of the other editors understanding that you need to do outbound, of course, and being like, hey, I can do work for you, these guys took the risk and they said, I did work for you. You can use it if you want. No ask. They just sent it.
I will say, if you're an editor or you're anything artistic, you are so ahead. You basically get to skip a step against some of us untalented folks. So if you go like graphic design or video editing or anything like that, like just do it for yourself. Like if I see you making thumbnails for yourself that are Mr. Beast level, then I'm gonna hire you. I don't care who they were for, right? Like if I see you designing God tier Nike, McDonald's levels logos, I don't care that you've never done it for somebody else, right? So you're lucky if you're an artist, man. I'm telling you. Like that stuff is you could just do it. You don't have to get a client. You don't even have to send any cold DMs. You just have to make it.
Good, important distinction you made there. Proof is not just proof of results. It's also proof of competence.
Exactly.
Showing that you're good at what you can do. You know, yesterday I actually took your advice. Let's leverage what's going on. So I did what I said I would do. I hosted a space on AI. So that's what I did. So I hosted this space on AI. You were asleep at the moment, so I'm glad you were there to like roast me.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah.
I did a space. Yeah, I did a space on it. Dude, this dude comes. His name, I don't know. I wish I remembered his name, but this dude comes into the space. He says, "Jakey, I'm so happy you're talking about AI. Check this out." He showed me how he got AI to imitate Justin Walsh's voice. So I said, "Oh, let's run a quick experiment on this space." So I read 3 tweets, 2 by Justin Walsh and 1 by his AI bot. And I asked people, react to which one do you think is the AI one? Most people got it wrong. Most people actually thought that Justin Walsh's tweet was AI written and the AI written tweet was Justin Walsh. I'm like, this is raw proof of competence. You're doing it live. And when he tweeted it, Justin Walsh retweeted him and he got him a bunch of followers and a bunch of comments because he proved what he was good at. Proof is not just social proof, it's proof of competence.